Hello and welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show about life transformation through dream interpretation. I'm Michael Sheridan. On this show, through analysing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you the magic power you have, what makes you magnificent, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. These bumps are not in the way, they are the way. To get your dream analysed on the show, go to dream-analysis.com, fill in the form, and I'll take it from there. That's all you have to do. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time, I'm running a webinar where I'm showing people how dreams reveal their life purpose. If you've seen this before, I've added new things to it to make it more exciting. I also interpret people's dreams at the end. I would love it if you could join me for that. It's interactive, it's live, and you can send your dreams to me during the broadcast. 11 a.m. If you're on my list, you've already got an invite. Otherwise, go to dream-analysis.com, get on my list now, and I'll send another reminder about it tomorrow, and you can use that to sign up. So do that. Webinar tomorrow, talking about how dreams reveal your life purpose with me. Now, let's jump straight into doing some dreams. First off, I got a response from Carla. Carla's dream last week was the one with the wolf riding on the owl's back. That was probably the most amazing dream I've gotten in quite some time in terms of the graphic nature of it and how fun it was to figure out what it actually meant. And I said that it meant Carla was clairvoyant, which is what the owl stands for, but that she had turned away from that gift. She didn't like it, and that's what the wolf that jumped off the owl's back and devoured the owl was about. So anyway, she wrote in after the show and she says, just wanted to send out a quick thank you for analysing my dream on your last show. I had the dream involving the wolf riding on an owl's back. You said the owl represented clairvoyance and wondered if I knew I had that ability. I can say that while I have had a keen interest in that kind of thing, I have never displayed any kind of psychic ability. Once I reflected back after your analysis, I'm thinking the dream itself was clairvoyant. Roughly 5 years after having this dream, I did have a major spiritual reckoning, which ended with me walking away from my beliefs and closing myself off from spirit to the best of my ability. So you see, the dream accurately predicted my death, at least from a spiritual point of view. You nailed it. Thanks again. So thanks for sending that in. But there's a couple of things I want to point out here. Just for clarity, people misuse the word psychic and clairvoyant, and there's no problem with that. I used to do that too. But when you get into this field and when I'm analyzing a dream and I say you're clairvoyant or you're psychic, it's important to understand what I actually mean. And I mean the dictionary definition of these things. So clairvoyant means that you get images. That's your communication ability with spirit. You ask questions, but the way you get answers back is through getting images that you then have to interpret. Some people also get movies about things that are important for them to see. And that's clairvoyance, meaning clear vision. And that's why images are part of the communications mechanism. The psychic ability is a little bit different. That's where you get, it actually stands for having a strong connection with your soul. And so what it means is, the way it works is you typically get a download of information and it comes as a feeling. So you know things about things and it seems like you just know them out of nowhere. It's like, I don't understand how I know this, but I know this to be true. And so they're very, very different abilities. And people use the word psychic or clairvoyant to mean like a future prediction and things like that. And neither of those words mean that particular thing. So just wanted to clarify it. Like I said, I used to do that too. And it's not important really unless it's something that you need to understand. If you have a particular ability that I say from your dreams, then it's important that you know what the ability is. But good to get the feedback and see how accurate it was in the interpretation. So here's a dream I just got 2 days ago. There's a newscaster lady who is a respected spiritual leader. She's on camera and she says to the audience, come with me, I'll show you. And then she glides past it and shows us that she has row after row of number 10 cans stacked up, an enormous supply. Number 10 cans are used to store freeze-dried food for long-term survival situations. That's what the dreamer has in quotes. I wouldn't have known that. As well as rows of other survival gear. And she says, this gives me so much comfort. I'm in the audience and I'm thinking that I should do that too. Well, no surprise if you've heard me with Anne Tucker on the show or you listen to any of her broadcasts. Anne is very upfront about sharing the channeled information she gets about dire things that are coming to the planet and the things that we need to do to prepare for them. And this dream, she had this dream just a few days ago. And the point of this dream is, so even, when you're doing something and you're doing what your guides tell you to do, I mean, that's the best thing you can ever do. So she's doing what her guides and angels are telling her to do. But every so often we can get a seed of doubt where, based on a reaction or based on anything at all. And we're wondering, am I doing the right thing? And we always, in those cases, get dreams that are going to comment on how we feel and really pick the ball up for us. And that's what this dream is about. So it's showing like the newscaster who is a respected spiritual leader. Well, that's Anne. She's broadcasts and she is a respected spiritual leader. She runs Business Energetics. She runs Wisdom Soup. She does other things in other capacities, but a very spiritual person, does healings and all that sort of stuff too. And so here we have in the dream, somebody showing that this is going to give comfort to a lot of people. So the guide is showing what Anne is doing. The guide is the newscaster in the dream, and she's a guide because she has a title. And so by her showing that she gets comfort from having these provisions put by and the equipment needed for a disaster, that Anne is giving that comfort to people in the work that she's doing. So a huge endorsement from our higher self. We can delude ourselves about a lot of things, but we can't delude ourselves when it comes to dreams. Our dreams are always brutally honest. Like I could say I'm very spiritually evolved and my dreams could show me diving into a shallow pool, which would mean I'm not spiritually evolved, that my spirituality isn't deep at all, with the pool representing the depth of my spiritual understanding. And so our dreams are always going to be honest with us. And so when you see a guide doing something in a dream, then we know this is what you're being encouraged to do. Completely outside of every other communication mechanism that there is. Our dreams come from our higher self. It's the last bastion connection. It's always works, regardless of anything else that's going on in your life. You always have that connection. And so we can always rely on our dreams. They can't be interfered with. They can't be infiltrated. We can certainly dream about things that have been going on, and I'm going to show that on the show. But you'll see the difference. Here we have a guide doing something which is saying this is what you need to do. Continue doing what you're doing because it brings great comfort. So really good. And on that subject, I sent out my prophecy presentation to everyone who signed up last week. And wow, I've only gotten super positive feedback about it. And why is that surprising? Well, the presentation is of dreams I received to my show that contain dire predictions about the future. Really dire. Laurel wrote and said, "Thanks for sharing this, Michael. The subject matter is concerning, but fascinating nonetheless. Couldn't take my eyes and ears away if I tried." Randy wrote and said, "This was well worth having to recharge my phone 3 times to watch to completion. I may well have to watch it again, as there were several things that brought up thoughts in my mind I couldn't write and listen at the same time. Other than that, I hope a lot of other people listen to this program and get ready. We are in for a rough ride for the next few months, even if the worst doesn't come until later." Again, I thoroughly enjoyed this presentation. Have a great day. And his motto at the end of Randy's email is, "You're born, you live, you die." And I like this motto. We all do the first and last part. We're all born and we all will die. But many of us forget the bit in the middle. We forget to live. And that was the theme I kept punching home in my presentation: to live, to seize the day. Like I even used quotes from Dead's Poets Society, where Robin Williams was all about telling the students that you need to seize the day, act while you're living, do the things that you want to do. And so I did that throughout the presentation. Like if you only had 15 days left to live, what would you do? Would you sit on your couch and cry about the fact that you only have 15 days to live? Or would you decide to live those 15 days to the fullest and squeeze every last drop of life out of those 15 days? And that's what our dreams encourage us to do, is to really live with our eyes open, fully aware of what we're here and fully embracing what life gives us, because it's all about the experience and what we learn about ourselves from the experience of being here. And if we don't embrace life, then we're not going to have half the experiences that we're meant to have when we're here. Even the bad experiences, your dreams encourage you to embrace them because they're going to teach you something about yourself. And that's really good. So I love your motto, Randy. And then Denise wrote and said, thank you for sharing this video. I found it energizing and inspiring in spite of the dire predictions. We do need to seize the day and follow our soul's calling. I've been sidetracked by chronic health issues, and you've inspired me to listen to my dreams to get back on track. Love and blessings, Denise. And so that's what I do. That's why I do this show. Obviously, I have a huge love for dreams. But I love sharing how customized and specific the message in our dreams is for us, how we're always being helped. So you can look at the presentation and you can say, look, there's terrible things going to happen. But you look at your dreams and you'll see that your guides and your higher self are aware of everything that's going to happen, and they're giving you advice, the best advice you can take. They're aware of all the little things that are going wrong in your life and the things that are going right, the opportunities that you miss that you need to go back and take. So your dreams are telling you all about these things all the time. It's not like that you're just dropped here and left on your own. But we often feel that way because I suppose it takes a bit of practice to learn how to analyze your dreams or to learn how to channel. But that's never the case. We're always here. And even if you, we're always getting information. And even if you can't interpret your dreams, in the dream state, you fully know what they mean. And then really the question is, are you taking their advice or are you rejecting it? Because most of the time we spoil our dreams because we have no intention of growing, no intention of facing the hard challenge. Why? Because we've grown up in a society that tells us not to do that, that we don't have to do that, that we can sue somebody who's making our lives difficult, for instance. It's really not what it's about. It's about you growing above every situation that you hit, growing in spite of the difficulty. It's growing because of the difficulty. We don't grow when we've nothing to do and nothing to learn about ourselves. So here's another dream from Anne, another short one that she had a couple of days after the first. So this is just yesterday. It's after the disaster. I'm cross-country skiing through the Bellevue neighborhood behind the mall near the lake. Could you imagine that? Cross-country skiing in Bellevue. There's a man who lost his apartment but doesn't want to see that things have changed. He has a young son. He comes back with his son to his apartment building, which has been condemned. And even though the upper levels have been flattened, his apartment is temporarily still standing. He's trying to bring his son in to say, look, it's still the same. The son is saying that it's not. I'm hearing this as I'm skiing past. So I'm going to stop there for a second. Well, first of all, she's been thinking about getting skis for cross-country skiing. So that's a symbol that's in the dream that we can't say is actually going to happen because it was already on our mind. And so this is what I was talking about earlier. So we have to kind of filter that out. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but we have to filter it out anyway. I mean, you could channel and ask, will it happen? But I'm not going to do that for now. So if we look at the symbolism of the man who's trying to pretend everything is still the same and trying to convince others around him everything is still the same. So this is telling her you can't reach everybody. So you can't reach everybody before a disaster. And even after the disaster, you still can't reach everybody. So some people are just beyond reach, like this man in the dream is. They're just beyond reach. And so you've got to accept that. And so the difficulty for Anne is, of course, because this is the work she's doing and she's trying to get people to get ready. What do you do if you're well prepared and you have stockpiles of food and water and so on, and people around you do not? That's a predicament nobody would ever want to find themselves in. Yeah, you don't want to be in the predicament. And if you are, you do want to have food and water and so on. But what if people around you don't? And so that kind of triggered this dream. And it's just saying that, like, you can't reach everybody. It's impossible to reach everybody because people just do not want things to change. The last part of our dream is, then I'm in the building with my partner and another couple. So there are 4 of us. and the building is shifting and is slowly collapsing. We aren't at all scared. We are joyful. But I remember not to leave something behind. Communication devices, which are up on top of a bunk bed. One of the men is able to climb up and get it for us. Okay, so communication devices are about channeling. So it says Anne has ability to channel. Well, no surprise, that's what she does. She trans-channels and gets all the information about these events through the trans-channeling. And so the dream is saying that even like one of the precious things that you must remember to respect is your communication ability. Even if you think it's giving you information you don't want to hear, that whatever situation you find yourself in, that is something that you need to keep. And that's really important for all of us, any of us that can channel. But specifically, they're saying to Anne, this is what's important. So 2 interesting dreams connected to the prophecy. Let's move on. I have a dream from, and this is a pseudonym, and it must mean something to the dreamer. It's called she's using Callendula. No idea what that is. And she had 3 dreams in the same night, and she calls them piano keys on the ground, Spider-Man, and a shower. And here we go. The first dream is, I am with members of my family, relatives, and we are going to a field to do planting. We are carrying the plants in white boxes, and 2 of the people are carrying together 5 or 6 boxes at once, attached to each other in a horizontal row. It kind of looked like a train. The ground is very muddy with no grass. On the ground, in parts of the area that we were supposed to plant on, are piano keys, although we could only see the white keys of the piano when we were looking from a distance. Then I start playing the piano. My mother asks me to bring a bench so that we wouldn't sit in the mud. Okay, I'm going to stop there. There's another little bit to go. So the piano keys are about channeling again, because music is about the spirit world and communication with the spirit world. So this dream says that Callendula, I love it, Callendula has the ability to channel. But what's interesting is that part's very clear, but why planting plants in the field? Well, that's about the reproductive cycle. Like a farmer planting seeds is about the reproductive cycle as well, or even tending plants in a pot in your house are about the reproductive. So the dream is kind of encouraging Callendula to get pregnant. And I asked her if that was something on her mind at this moment in time, if she was considering it. And I've seen this before. The first time I saw this in a dream, I had no idea what it meant, because they seem like 2 completely different subject matters. But here's what it is, because I know this from it happening in the past and happening to more than one person. If you get pregnant, you will be able to channel. That's what this dream is saying, that if you get pregnant, your ability to channel will just switch on. If you've already got it a bit, it's just going to jump in leaps and bounds. And why does that happen? It's because our guides connect through our chakras and connect through our glandular system. And so we need to be healthy, pretty healthy, in order to channel. And when we're trying to learn to channel, it's done kind of slowly. We're only allowed to develop at a slow pace because they don't want to do any damage to our body. And so if something traumatic happens, like if you get in a car accident, or you have a health problem and end up in hospital, or you get pregnant, then they can piggyback on the fact that that's already a trauma happening in the body, and they can make the adjustments that they need to make in order for your channeling to just sing, staying with the pun on music, which is really, really fantastic. So that's what you need to do. Or it's a suggestion, let's say. And I presume it would also match with your life, or it wouldn't be on your mind. So also what stands out here is the ground is very muddy with no grass. And so that points to a digestive system problem. You even say that the boxes are, that the people are carrying are white and connected together like a train. That's also the digestive system quite often, or in dreams. I'm saying digestive, but I mean digestive and elimination system. More so elimination, let's say. The white says that you tend to be critical. So probably critical of yourself and critical of any information you would channel, like, did I get it right? And so on. And then the dream tells us where you got that from, and it tells us by your mom showing up in the dream. So there we have it. She's right there, and she brings a bench and a judge sits on a bench. So it implies mom was critical and you copied that trait from her. But most likely when we copy it, like, yeah, you can be critical of other people, but when you're critical of yourself, self-critical, then that's really where you start doing damage to yourself, and your dreams say, look, you need to fix this. Work on the issues around mom. That's what you need to do in order to fix this problem. And when we see the elimination system show up in the same dream, then we know that's going to be there too. That's going to be solved by working on the issues around mom. And indeed, if you have difficulty getting pregnant, although there's nothing in this dream saying that, then it's connecting that to it as well. Your second dream, you say, I am playing Spider-Man, a computer game, but instead of web powers, his powers are actually super speed and time control. That would be cool. He could reverse time like playback of a video. The game scene is somewhere in my hometown. Okay, so it's really about you, and it's about you playing the game of life. And it's not about Spider-Man at all. But because Spider-Man has superpowers, it means you have superpowers. So it's going to be about one of your powers. The game scene is somewhere in my hometown, in other people's yards around their houses. There are plants and some yards are separated with a fence. Sometime after playing, I'm actually in the game itself. So again, it's about you playing the game. And we have the plants from before. So we know that's still in there. That's still a theme. There is a brown cat behind a fence in one of the yards. So brown is about the elimination system. The cat is also about the digestive system. In Ireland, we have the expression, if your stomach's really hurting, you can say my stomach's cat. We don't have it in America, but it still is about the elimination system in America. I've seen it so many times in so many people's dreams. So there's something you need to do to clean up your elimination system. I perceive the cat as evil and I'm afraid of it, and I try to reverse time in order to get away from it, but it's not really working, and the cat is approaching and getting closer. So this is something you have to deal with. That's what the cat approaching is about. You got to deal with this. You're not going to get away from it. And reversing time is about going back and looking at something. And so if you do it in a therapeutic situation, like if you were working with me, that's what we would do. Go into a therapeutic situation, look at the issues that your dreams point out, and then heal those using techniques that are well understood. And then we see them disappear from your dreams. We see your health issues start to improve. And the elimination system is easy to heal. I mean, it can take a bit of time, but it has such a rich blood supply, because that's where all the water and food intake from your for your body comes through. So it has a very rich blood supply, and the rich blood supply allows it to heal very well. So anyway, that's what you need to do. Work on those things and overcome fears, because you talk about perceiving something as evil and being afraid. So whatever that is, that's what you've got to deal with. Because again, it's the bumps are not in the way, they are the way. So the thing that you're afraid of is something that you've got to deal with. And I want to go back to the first dream. I skipped a little bit that I forgot to come back to. You have, then we're at home. And so remember, this dream is about reproduction, getting pregnant. So then we were at home. I draw a self-portrait. It had the color yellow, and I leave it on the table for my family and relatives to see. But I instantly regret it, because I didn't want to seem like I'm showing off, even though they seem to like it and were very supportive. Okay, so that's one of your issues, is not feeling like you can brag about things. But what is the self-portrait about? Well, it's a reproduction of you. And so it fits in with the plants, planting the plants in the muddy field. So it's another symbol for reproduction. And so it's just interesting, isn't it, how we see in the one dream many, many different things. And so you got to get over some family issues there. We know that because mom already showed up in the dream. And you wanting to hold yourself back. Now you don't in the dream, so that's good. You don't hold yourself back. Anyway, that's what you need to do. Overcome something to do with issues around the family, where you don't want to feel like you're on display. But what I like about the dream is you say that your family were very supportive, which is good. So your last little dream, very, very short and simple. A female friend is showering and watching comedy on her phone with headphones on. Okay, so we know the music said you're a channel, and headphones tell us that you're clairaudient. And clairaudience works through getting sentences put into your head. And it sounds like the inner monologue that we have when we're thinking about things. So it's not going to sound like a different voice for most people. So it's up to you to learn how to tell when that's kicked in for you and when you're getting an answer. Usually you can tell because you feel very uplifted with that information. It's like, oh, this is like the solution to something I've been wondering about for some time, that kind of thing. So clairaudience is how it works. And then you say it's a female friend is showering. So it means you got to work on issues around the female side. So issues around mom, like I said. And she's watching comedy on her phone. So the phone is also about communication. So again, emphasizes the fact that you've got this communication ability, but you need to heal issues that are, holding you back in some way. And again, connected to a woman. So we know it's mom. So very short little dream and really punchy. I like that she's watching comedy. And I've seen that a number of times in people's dreams. And I always say it's about, the need to lighten up. But it could also be that you do have a comedic style and you're meant to use that. So bear that in mind as well. So let's see, could we squeeze another one in? Here's one from Eve. She says, I've listened to and believe Ann Tucker's message about the fall. I've been preparing, but my husband, though trying to be supportive, is skeptical. I've mostly been calm about the process and the thoughts of the fall, but I'm sad for several factors that I know will lead to heartache. So here's one of her dreams. My husband and I were a cooking team on Gordon Ramsay's TV show. My husband was over grilling something and I was frantically trying to rush around and get everything prepared. I couldn't find the grey square steel plates we needed. I ran to the shelves full of items. Gordon Ramsay stood over the shelf above me and was exasperated with me and said, "It's right there in front of you, right," in his accent yelling way, kind of like unbelievable, she says, which is funny. He went on, "Put your right hand out." I did. "Now move it down a little to the left, there, right there." I couldn't see it, so I ran off to ask my husband if he could find them. That responsibility made him freak out and double over to dry heave. I comforted him, no longer caring about the TV show meal competition. So, okay, so you follow Anne, and what I've shared on the show is just the tip of the iceberg compared to what Anne reveals on her YouTube channel and so on. So if you're into that, connect with Anne. But this dreamer is, so we can't really take some of the things that she's got in her dreams, like because we know we need to filter out that kind of sense of panic about things and needing to be prepared, needing to be ready. So we take that out and we look at the other things. What stands out? Well, Gordon Ramsay, because he's a chef, has a title, he's a guide, and he prepares food for people. So it means that the dreamer has the ability to heal people, because that's what chefs symbolize. They feed you, and feeding us is about giving us nourishment through food and supporting our body through food. So that's what the whole dream is about. It says that you have that ability, but you haven't put your hand right on it yet. And it works through male side, which is why your husband's in there. Now, I know he's also in there because of the other connection. And so you got to realize you have that gift and stop panicking about it. Okay, that's it. We're out of time. That's my show for next week. Go to dream-analysis.com, download the dictionary and get on my list, and you'll get all sorts of goodies about dreams and tips on how to interpret them. See you next week.